This week on Top Travel, Jeannie and Yanez take the blue train to vibey Soweto, where they travel by taxi to a popular fast food restaurant and are immediately put to work. After yet more dining and even dancing with the locals, they head to the Madikwe Game Reserve, where a scenic drive becomes a passionate mission to help save South Africa's precious rhino.
Okay, come, Jeans, let's do this. Pull yourself towards yourself.
Boarding the blue train is certainly one of the finest privileges you can have in life, even at 3 a.m.
Oh no, please don't do this to me, please. I'm begging you. We got on the train at 3 a.m. Just let me sleep another 2 hours.
You don't get on the blue train to sleep, Yanez. Look at all of this. It's so beautiful.
Train travel through South Africa is spectacular because nowhere in the world do you see such diversity of landscape. It's picture perfect every moment you look out the window. I have to ask a very silly question. Why is this train called the Blue Train?
In the 1930s already, there was this trains that were running to the gold fields and the diamond fields. And this train had this blue color with a yellow livery stripe. And people started calling this the Blue Train. It was also known as Champagne Train. And it was rich people that was traveling there, and it used to coincide with the ship that used to dock in Cape Town. So those passengers will then take the train up to the north. It wasn't until 1946 that the Blue Train was officially launched as the Blue Train.
It got its name from the abbreviation Southwestern Township. And in fact, when the apartheid government came into power in 1948, all black South Africans from Johannesburg were moved here to be out of sight and out of mind to white South Africans.
The white South Africans didn't want this place because it was dirty, it was dusty, it was polluted, so they gave it to the black people. And I must say, they had so many different tribes here, which caused a lot of friction and a lot of violence. They also had housing restrictions, a whole lot of problems. It really wasn't a pleasant place to live at the time. But Soweto's come a very long way. Today, it's one of the most influential places in all of South Africa. In fact, they say that when Soweto sneezes, the rest of South Africa gets a cold. Now, I've been to the top cities in the world. Do you want to know a sad fact? I've never been to Soweto. As a South African, Soweto is part of your blood, it's part of your history. Andy, we're in the heart of Soweto now, and I feel pretty safe, but there is this perception out there that Soweto is quite a dangerous place.
Actually, Soweto is no more dangerous or less dangerous than Sandton, or Rio, or New York. It's the perception. You know, the press hasn't done us any favors in terms of what they showcase of Soweto. Soweto is a very friendly, hospitable, compassionate place.
So what is there for us to do in Soweto?
Well, there's lots of things to do in Soweto. I think I'm going to give you guys 10 Rand each. You need to go and buy some traditional medicine.
What on earth can you buy for 10 Rand?
What is this? Is this maybe what we're looking for?
Is this Mpepo? No. Mpepo. Hi. Can I come in here? Hi. May I sit over here? Yeah. I'm looking for Mpepo. What is it?
Lighting in the house, without the house, get out the pet lamp.
Oh, so if I burn that like an incense?
Yeah, incense and pepper.
How much can I get for 10 Rand? One.
That's a deal.
That was what Mpepo was. Kind of a big bundle of potpourri.
Now, guys, your next task. You need to find a place called Insensi's Quarters.
Insensi's Quarters?
Insensi's Quarters. It's in Diepkloof.
Okay.
Grab a taxi, we'll see you there.
Just like that?
Bye.
Hi. We go to Insensi's Quarters.
7 Rand local.
We took a taxi. If you have to think of the amount of people in South Africa that travel by taxi, it's such a massive part of our culture, and yet I'd never been in one before. I just have to tell you, I'm a little bit apprehensive because I drive the streets of South Africa every day. Taxis, not the safest on the roads.
Not always the best reputations, but there's always quite a vibe inside the taxi. I sometimes get a little jealous because they got the beats going. Oh, this is how it works.
If you look at Soweto, I mean, it's vibrant, it's full of life, it's got the dust of the mines, but no one cares. The entire place has just got so much energy, and going there, you feel completely energized.
We then went to Ntiti fast food shop and we were told to make a traditional meal. I thought that would be like a chisanyama kind of thing, like pap and that nice tomato and onion mix and like real meat. But no, it was carbicide.
Tabang, you guys make something called a kota. What exactly is that?
Kota is just the bread with chips, Vienna, ham corn. It just has stuffings. So we stuff it in with almost 11 sauces. And yeah, that's the kota. It's only found here in Soweto. You can go to KZN, you can go to anywhere, you won't find it here.
As much as they can stuff into a quarter loaf of bread, they do. Kota. Kota spelled K-O-T-A.
That is not normal. That's not normal.
When I looked at it, I could actually feel my arteries clogging. But boy, was it to be tasty.
That fast food shop is proudly Soweto, and people go there. They go work in town, and they'll come back to Soweto for lunch just to eat there.
So we've decided to be front of house today because if we were stuck in the back of the kitchen, we'd probably eat half the food, which is not a good idea.
And I got a Portuguese education, a BSc. You know what that's called?
No, what's that?
Behind shop counter.
Next!
Stay tuned. Soweto's food scene's getting very real. Jeannie and Yanez bust a move with the locals, then travel to the Madikwe Game Reserve.
Going into Soweto, I saw some things I'd never dare to touch. But I did realize this is their culture, and Yanez, you're going to respect that.
What is going on here?
You can see this is a cow head, and this is regarded as offal or extras, leftovers, but actually it's complete delicacy. The guy will cut that skin away from the head, and he will take the cheek meat off. He will take away the nose, all the meat around the throat. It is absolutely, it's more tender than fillet steak. We're going to try some.
Please don't make me eat this. It's just in the back of my mind, I was just praying.
If I eat this, am I going to become a real African?
Not a real African, like I'm not to be a real African, like it's in you.
Yeah.
Then like if you do this, like you'll be like it's in, you know what Africa is about.
For them, it's a delicacy. It's a treat. It's part of their culture. It's what they do. And you dip it in salt and chili, that's it.
Sure. Fact is, regardless how traumatizing that was for me, it's just regular meat. Meat is meat.
And I think it's important that we change these perceptions because that would have gone to waste. And people in Africa are hungry. And at the end of the day, it's meat and it tastes good.
Yeah.
Happy we did that.
I'm glad we did that.
Thanks, guys.
Sharp.
Soweto is a culture shock. You get a fright when you go in there. It's not what you're used to. You're not used to eating cow's head.
In the apartheid era, drums and other kind of instruments were actually forbidden if you were black. So what happened is that the miners who used to wear those thick, like wellies almost, gumboots, underground when they were mining and sometimes submerged in water. And what they would do was actually create a sound and a beat so that they would be able to work to it, they would be able to create music, and it would actually just inspire them to get on with their day.
Wonderful gumboot dancing. So this gumboot dance is really about them mimicking their bosses. For instance, if a white boss had a specific characteristic, they would mimic him and do it in jest. But the white guy didn't know what was happening. And again, it is a form of passive resistance. They weren't actually toying or saying, we don't want to do this. They had to work in the mines. They needed to earn money. But have some fun doing it at the same time and, you know, at least take it out on the white guys.
Yanez looks amazing. Explain the outfit that he's wearing.
He's wearing what they call mvunulo, which is like, in a Western context, a tuxedo. If you're going out to a ball or something, but you're going to come and dance now. Like at balls, we dance. But he's doing deep traditional dance. He's doing a mixture. Some of the dance he was doing was mzansi, which is a deep warrior dance, and then the other one is a crossover called Shaman. And Shaman originated in the hostels. And so you see it's very forward, and they're lifting their legs up and down. It's not very flamboyant all over the place. But it's
controlled.
It's very controlled.
Now, I've let myself down when it comes to dancing many times, especially in Europe. But I've realized when it comes to European dancing, I got no skills. When it comes to African dancing, it's full rhythm.
I am exhausted, totally exhausted. But what did they say, white men can't dance? How was that performance?
What a warrior. You're fantastic. Well done.
I think it's your turn. It's your turn to show your skills. I like the outfit. I prefer mine.
I love this outfit.
Take the stage, Jeannie.
I looked the part, felt the part, and I was ready to get down and do some pantsula. Obviously, I'm going to do it in heels. Did they think I was going to do it barefoot?
This looks a lot more like American-style hip-hop dancing to me.
It is. It originated in the townships. It's known as mpantsula, and it's a way of expressing your youth, your exuberance for life, and living in the townships. And it's endemic to our townships, mpantsula.
Jeannie was like your typical African mama with great rhythm. She had the look.
Listen, not just Miley Cyrus can twerk. I've got my African heritage intact. Thank you very much. Hey, hey, hey!
You lost some beadwork, girl.
Oh my goodness, thank you. That was so intense. I feel like a cross between Brenna Fassie and Beyonce.
You looked the part. Well done.
Wow, I'm going to be stiff tomorrow. I think I might need a drink.
Let's go get a drink.
We all deserve a drink.
Come on, let's go.
Serious exercise.
I reckon after a day in Soweto, Jeannie and I had earned our stripes. And what better way to end it than at the shebeen?
Today's experience of Soweto has been so memorable, and it was so typically Soweto and so authentic.
This is Soweto. This is our wonderful country, and we can be justly proud of how compassionate and accepting the people in our country are. I'm proud to be a South African.
After the craziness and the bustle of Soweto, we then went to Madikwe Hills, which was just this breath of fresh air.
In the 1940s, the Mariko district was considered the poorest province in South Africa. So the Parks Board decided to create the Madikwe Game Reserve, not only to protect the local fauna and flora, but also to, entice international tourism and create jobs for the local people here.
This reserve was formed in 1991 in a very unique alliance between local communities and private enterprise, and it involved the relocation of some 8,200 animals. Some of those were the rhino. Now, these blessed animals are unfortunately #1 targets to poachers. So places like Madikwe are taking a stand.
It's a little piece of South Africa that is so special, perched on these rocky hilltops in the middle of nature with a 360-degree view of the flatlands below it. It is majestic.
The architect that was originally given the brief for this place initially designed something that could have been adapted to any regular flat land. However, here in the bush, you're not allowed to do that. So with all the rocks and the trees that exist already, they have to stay that way.
Madikwe is sweltering. It's hot and it's like Botswana. It's dry and it's that thorn-felt bush. For me, the best way to cool off in a situation like that is to chill in a swimming pool and look at a watering hole while animals are drinking in nature. It's brilliant.
Look at you, all relaxed in the water.
So relaxing.
Are you having a good time?
Good, perfect spot here with the best view of the watering hole. Oh, I'm feeling a little exposed though.
Oh, it's more than safe. Don't worry about anything.
Why won't the animals actually come into the lodge?
You know, what happens is if you look at the distance in between us and the animals have got comfort zone, and then we do have a comfort zone as well. So what happens is if the animals feel threatened is the time when we enter their comfort zone. But if they do enter our comfort zone, we're starting to feel a little bit threatened, but if you just keep quiet and still, that the animals feels comfortable with the distance that we give them.
It really is so beautiful out here. How big is the property and what animals are around here?
We've got all the big five. Madikwe is 780 square kilometers. So you can drive anywhere looking for anything. So expect all the animals to be around, but don't put your expectations high.
The moment you drive into the bush, you wonder why you don't go there more often, because you forget about, the silly things you worry about in normal daily life. The 24/7, the hustle, bustle, the city life. It's back to basics. And it's back to those things that are important in life.
Why are we going so close? No, why are we going so close?
It's quite incredible how close we are to these two male lions. You can see they're just chilling under the tree. They're completely lazy. They've obviously been feasting out on a buffalo, which is just laying down on the other side there. And the fact that they're not bothered at all that we're so close to them.
When we come back, Jeannie and Yanez stumble upon an anti-poaching unit and join the fight to help save one of our endangered Big Five.
What do you see there? Oh, it's actually our anti-poaching guys.
Really?
Yes.
Do you see them sitting there?
No.
Can we go chat to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can do that, eh? We can just get out and see it.
We went on a peaceful little game drive, and in the middle of nowhere, two soldiers waging a war. I kid you not.
Wow, you guys are pretty heavily armed. What exactly are you doing out here in the bush?
We try to operate as a clandestine unit to try and combat rhino poaching. We don't exactly know when the people are coming or how they're coming. We try our utmost to gain intelligence and information, but we generally can't always get that. So we spend a vast percentage of the time actually trying to patrol and operate clandestine so that they don't know that we're here.
Do you sometimes feel like you're in a war zone?
Definitely, I think, never as conservationists, I think in the last 15 years did we ever think that we'd have to be fighting another war to try to protect a single species. A lot of us kind of feel, how did doing conservation end up now becoming a paramilitary operation? And unfortunately that's what it's become.
How close are the rhinos really to extinction?
They're very close.
Very close, yeah.
I mean, if you take into consideration with the numbers over the last year, we're probably losing a rhino between every 9 to 11 hours in this country, if you look at an average. Those are pretty devastating. The population is not really big enough to sustain that for any great length of time. So if we don't take vast amounts of action very soon, I think it'll probably be too far gone, and it's not going to happen on my watch.
To a nature conservationist or a game ranger, animals are their children. They've studied nature conservation because they love it. It's their passion. It's what they live. It's what they breathe. It's what they eat. You go into a game park and you shoot one of their rhinos, you're killing one of their children.
How beneficial is this tagging? Will it really prevent rhino poaching?
Exercise like this, for instance, we've got eyes in the sky. Everyone who's in the close vicinity of Madikwe knows there's a chopper. Obviously, if there's a chopper, whatever happens on the ground is going to be much more aware. So if there are poachers in the reserve, they're not going to move around now. If a poacher sees a rhino with notches in his ears, he's going to be less likely to shoot that animal because is there colorant in the horn? What's going to happen? They're unsure about it, so they'll much rather shoot something that's not notched. It's more security for them.
We met the most incredible people involved in rhino tagging, and they're putting up a fight, and it's that fight that counts. And we entered Mission Impossible. It was something out of a movie.
This bush pilot was going, he was flying through the bush like something I've never seen in my life. He flew from a meter off the ground to high up in the air to back down again on a wild chase looking for rhinos that had not yet been tagged. We were in the chase car trying to keep up with him.
My heart started racing. I had goosebumps. I was inspired. Choppers flying over nature reserves, us chasing in safari vehicles.
The minute the vet darts the rhino, we've got a very short window in which to get to that animal so that we don't create any trauma to him.
Jeans and I saw a rhino dancing as the narcotics kicked in and it was about to fall asleep. This vet jumped out of the chopper, patted it, calmed it down, and lay this rhino down on the side, making sure it wouldn't stop the blood circulation in its legs or injure itself. It wrenched my soul.
When he went down, that was our cue to run. We got out of that game vehicle and ran as quick as possible. I couldn't help but be completely overwhelmed with emotion. And I went down next to him and I just kissed him. I was kissing him because I felt so sorry for this massive creature. He was so vulnerable at this point, shaking and heavy breathing because he didn't know what was happening to him. Okay, the base confirmed 63.
All right, can you do the back for me as well? So measure from there.
Why would you want to make this incredibly beautiful species extinct because of some myth?
You know what? Men across the world who have a little piece of rhino horn and they think, oh, I'm so cool, I'm so pimping because I've got rhino horn. Let me tell you what's so much more attractive than that. Being the man that was saving that rhino. Oh, is it in? This isn't it.
Another one?
I had to take blood from the back of the rhino's ear. I stroked his skin, it was so soft. I mean, such a majestic creature. And I had to get the needle in to get the blood as quick as possible. And usually I would never be able to do something like that. But knowing the value of me helping this animal, I had to do it. I've got this poor animal's blood on my hands. I cannot believe how people can be so disgusting to kill them or hurt them. It was a defining moment in my life, really.
I'm actually speechless. So sad what's happening with these rhinos that they actually have to take these drastic measures in order to save them.
It was a calm, beautiful experience where we were told what to do. I had so much pent-up emotion inside me. I don't know how I kept it together.
Like this? Is that a good angle?
Okay, that's a good angle, yes.
Okay.
Drilling that hole into that rhino and looking at Jeannie getting emotional and welling up, I just realized, you know, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're killing our own planet. We're killing ourselves.
Okay, so if you want to have a look at what the chip looks like, they're going to plant a chip into the hump now. So
I wasn't determined at all before. I mean, I knew it was an issue, and I knew that, you know, maybe I could tweet every now and then, but I had no idea that actually you can do little things to really make a difference.
Okay, so wait now. So I want you guys to go to the vehicles.
Okay. Guys.
We got skin samples, we got blood samples, we got rhino horn hair samples, we got hair samples. We did it all. And all of that to try and save the precious rhino in South Africa.
A little groggy there. You okay, boy?
www.savetherhino.org. Get involved.
It's a soundtrack to Africa. It's African dance, it's African spirits, it's African heart, it's African soul. Africans of soul. And when you go to game lodges in Africa, especially Madikwe Hills Private Game Lodge, they welcome you with soul.
Next week on Top Travel, Jeannie and Yanez visit Zimbabwe's Victoria Falls. Pump up the adrenaline with an extreme activity session, then set off on an elephant safari. The adventure continues with a cruise down the Chobe River and an epic flight across the Okavango Delta.